Do you know where she was? She made mom. So you were in touch okay. To make the life a little bit.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so obviously this is not a drill anymore. We're ready to begin. My name is Peter. Thank you so much for being here. This is the third and final celebration event for this year's Hero Appreciation Month. So my job, the only reason I'm allowed to stand here is that I'm going to explain to you how the program works and what it's all about. Many, many, many years ago, this is the 13th year? 18th year. Oh, I can't count. Okay, so I failed once already now. So this is the 18th year of the program. So 18 years ago, we started, my wife and I started this program initially to honor veterans of the armed forces. And it grew into being an event that recognizes and honors first responders of all kinds. So in the month of January, we have an event that celebrates firefighter, EMS, first responders of that nature. In February, we honor law enforcement, peace officers of that type. And in March, it's armed forces and any of the uniformed services. And basically, it's to honor the first responders who risk their lives to allow people like myself and several of us here to live in places like Three Rivers. Because without you guys, it would be almost impossible to live in a place like this and to enjoy the freedoms that we enjoy. The program from January 1st to March 31st also includes participation from businesses within the Three Rivers area. They offer a card that we no longer have on us because it technically expired at the end of March, but it's called a thank you card, and the people who are honoree, who are part of the category of the honorees, so any of the first responders, can get one of these cards, and they will get up to a 20% discount at the businesses. So if you show up with your family at a place like Cider Mill, which honors the card, obviously it's expired now, and I'll explain that in a minute. But during the 3-month period, you get 20% off the entire bill, not just yours, the entire bill with you, because part of the recognition is not just the first responder themselves, but also the family and the family support system around that person that allows them to do what they do for our benefit. So this is our way of saying thank you, not only to the first responder, but to their entire support system that allows them to help us. So, having said that, let me introduce Leah to come up here and tell us a little bit about who we're honoring today and why it's happening in April and not typically in March.
It's all his fault.
I'm difficult.
It is.
I'm difficult.
Well, we wanted to honor Austin Parker this year. You're from Hanford now. Are you still living in Hanford? Because the online news about you was saying you were in Tulare, California. I'm going, and Christy Wood said, no, he's from Hanford. Okay, so Christy told us about Austin because she has been helping with this Independence Fund idea where she'll have fundraising, events, garage sales, you name it, and people will give donations towards the Independence Fund, and she'll pick one person that we're trying to get an all-terrain wheelchair for. So instead of just going to regular events with a regular wheelchair, you can go out and camp, and you can go out into the natural world and enjoy it if you have a vehicle that can handle that kind of terrain. And your typical wheelchair, you couldn't. So I remember before Austin, there was one guy who got this vehicle, and then he was the second one, right? So a lot of people here have chipped in to get him his all-terrain vehicle. So thank you for doing that, everybody.
Christy. Oh, just stand up so we can see who you are. You am standing up.
Okay, and then the problem with Austin is the only time he was available was when our traditional Heroes Months period was over. Because we go January 1st to March 31st. But we thought, okay, we'll make an exception. We'll get through Heroes Months, and then whatever date he's available in April, we'll do this celebration. So that's why we're here tonight, and thank you to Sequoia Cider Mill Restaurant for letting us have it here. Thank you very much. I don't know if you know, but the owners are retiring and getting ready to sell this restaurant. So it was really kind of them, with all that commotion going on, to let us have this.
Yeah.
So we thank them. Okay, Austin. We want to hear your story. We want to hear what you did in the Navy, and then what happened, and
Okay,
then
come on. Now you can
I'll
stand
tell the
up.
whole story.
the long story. Yes.
That's okay. We have a lot of tape. I'm just dating myself.
Well, first of all, thank you everyone for coming tonight, and thanks Leah and Pete, and of course the Wood family for their wonderful donation. We're actually going camping next weekend. It's going to be our first shot trying to take the kids out camping, so hopefully pray for us. We're going to go fishing, and without the chair I wouldn't be able to get down to the water in most places and do that with my son. So thank you very much for that wonderful donation.
Thank you.
And yeah, so I'm sorry I had to make you guys wait for this. I was competing in bobsled over in Europe for the last month and a half over there, and I ended up 9th in the world. So that's pretty cool.
Where was it in Europe?
Oh, so we first started off in Norway in Lillehammer is how you're supposed to say it, I guess, but. So from Norway over to St. Moritz in Switzerland, and then to France. And there was a little break in between that I got to travel around. Unfortunately, I couldn't bring the wife and kids, but I went to Berlin, Prague, and Vienna. So I got to sightsee a little bit, which was nice.
So how many people are in a bobsled?
So we do monobob, so there's only one person in a bobsled,
Wow.
and we get bobsleds usually, the excitement is the push. You see 4 beasts of guys, pushing a bobsled off the top of a hill is usually the excitement part, but we get pushed by a mechanical pusher,
Oh, nice.
and it makes the sport a little bit more competitive because it becomes more of a driver's sport because our times are so close for a push. And this year was actually a pretty exciting year for para bobsled. We made our bid for the Paralympic bid, so hopefully in 2026 you might see para bobsled be one of the 6 sports in the winter sports for para.
When do you hear the decision?
Soon, hopefully. We should know by the end of the year. So COVID kind of messed things up. We were ready to put our bid in before COVID, and with COVID, we missed. You have to have so many nations competing for so long, and COVID screwed that up for us. Excuse my language, but so yeah.
So tell us about your Navy years, and then what happened.
I would love to. So everything kind of started for me in Sacramento, California, where I was born and raised. I kind of wanted to be in law enforcement, and I was a troublemaker in my younger years. So when I grew up a little bit and wanted to get an adult job, I was having a hard time getting those jobs just because I got in too much trouble. My story will lead into this, but I liked motorcycles a lot. I was a sport bike rider and was doing track days, and that was part of how I got in trouble. Too many speeding tickets. So I ended up I ended up joining the Navy. I thought I can go do my 4 years and get out and have a better chance getting a job with the police force or firefighting. I just wanted to get back to the community and have a job doing that. So I joined the Navy. I joined as an aviation's machinist mate, and I knew I wanted to work on fighter jets. So I didn't know having that job would bring me to Lemoore, which is kind of a boring place. I wanted to join and get out of California and get away from home and kind of start new. But I joined, went to boot camp, and then I got orders to Lemoore and found out I had lived in California my whole life and never knew anything about Lemoore. So my directions to Lemoore were drive down the I-5 and turn when it smells like cow poop. That's how I found it.
Derriere.
Yeah. My first duty station was a VFA 122, which is a RAG squadron. If you don't know what that means, it's just a training squadron. We had about 120 jets at the time, and I learned real quick how to be a jet engine mechanic. Did 3 years there, and then I transferred to a facility called FRC West, which is where you just build jet engines all day. So I went there and did really well. My dad was an aircraft mechanic as well, so I kind of just had it in the genes and promoted really well. Did my 3 years there. I made E6 in my second command, and my leadership at the time thought I was doing really well, and they wanted me to be an instructor. So I went to San Diego for a couple months for instructor duty school. Learned how to kind of talk in front of people, which
Scary.
yeah, it's still scary. I'm still learning how to do that. So I went to instructor duty back at Lemoore. Did 3 years there, teaching students how to tear down and rebuild jet engines for the Super Hornet, the F-18 Super Hornets. Enjoyed that a lot. I'm going to back up just real quick too, talk about my deployments. At FRC West, I did 2 deployments on the USS Enterprise, which is the first nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. It was 53 years old when I was doing those deployments on that ship, so it was kind of falling apart. But we did first deployment was in Iraq, Afghanistan, the waters over there. That's where we did our missions. The second deployment, we did the same operations over there, but we took a little detour and went down to Somalia, the Horn of Africa, and did anti-pirate deterrence and some operations doing that. So that was pretty much my part in the conflicts we had over there. Yeah, so back to where I was going. Part of being in the military, you do community service and other things, and I loved motorcycles, and I volunteered my time with a local track club just because it was cheaper for me to go out and ride and enjoy motorcycles and volunteer my expertise and helping other riders learn. I also did that for the commands. I would teach a motorcycle safety course for my command. And that's how I got hurt. I was at the racetrack, and I was teaching a new racer school, and I was trying to pass another rider, and he took a strange line, and it was either collide with him or go off the racetrack at about 130 miles per hour. And I went off the racetrack at about 130 miles per hour. I've crashed motorcycles a lot, and that's why I was on the racetrack, just because it's typically a safe environment. And it really is usually. I mean, when I was going through this crash, I thought everything was going to be okay to an extent. You know, I was praying. You know, people say they see their life flash before their eyes when they're having an accident. And, I didn't have that. I had just please don't get hurt. I had a lot going on. I was in E6. I was about ready to make chief, which is a pretty good achievement in the Navy. And I was a homeowner. I had a great girlfriend at the time, my wife, that's taking the kids right now. So yeah, I had a lot going on for me. I had 2 dogs. I was about to transfer to a new command, and I was just like, please don't get hurt, please don't get hurt, and I got hurt. So I went off. It was in May. Sorry, March. It was in March 3rd, and the ground was wet at the time. And usually when you run off the racetrack, you just kind of ride it out in the dirt. And as long as you can keep the bike upright, you're okay. But I went off, and it had rained 2 days before, and as soon as my front tire went into the dirt, it was kind of an Indo, and I flew through the air, and that's when I was thinking, please don't get hurt, please don't get hurt. And as soon as I hit the ground, it was kind of lights out, and I woke up a couple minutes later, face down. And usually when you crash, you kind of go through a safety check. You start wiggling your fingers, does this work, and your arms work. And started getting down to the lower extremities, and I knew I couldn't move anything. I knew right then and there I was paralyzed. And I had thought about it before, if something like that happened to me, I wouldn't want to live. And that was kind of the second thing that went through my head was, how am I going to kill myself? I was like, I don't want to live. It's kind of sad that was the second thing that went through my head was, how am I going to do it? Because I knew I didn't want to live. And
I'm glad God changed your mind.
yeah, I wasn't really much of a Christian beforehand than I am now. It's kind of weird.
But you obviously got through that.
Yeah, no.
How did you get through that?
Well, I'm gonna bring you there. I'll get there. Well, my wife. So I ended up in Bakersfield for 2 days, and while I was there, I don't really remember much. I was on a lot of drugs. I do remember there was a lady next to me handcuffed to the bed, and there was another person screaming a lot. This was the emergency room. It was pretty bad. It was Bakersfield. It was kind of like the low-end ER. And I got transferred to Keck University, which was down in LA. The drive there was pretty painful. Still kind of in and out of consciousness. I had a punctured lung, broke 9 ribs, broke my scapula, broke my wrist in 13 places, and broke my back in 2 places. The worst was a T5 fracture, burst fracture is what they call it. So the T5 vertebrae just pretty much smashed, demolished, and there's pieces in my spinal cord. So they transferred me to LA, and I ended up having my spinal cord reconstructive surgery, I guess stabilization. And I was kind of told, you're probably never going to walk. And I already knew it, so I was just getting through it. And then from there, I got to VA hospital in Palo Alto, which is a spinal cord unit there, and that's where I did most of my recovery. And I spent about 6 months there. And my wife, or girlfriend, sorry, calling her my wife, but she is my wife now, thank God. But she quit her job and stayed by my side this whole time. And as I said, I had a good girlfriend, a lot going for me, and I didn't expect that from her at the time, which was pretty much why I'm still here today. She stuck by my side. We would pray at night, and she kind of brought me to Jesus and the Lord. And yeah.
So you were doing some Navy games. What
Yep.
was that about?
So I'm getting there right now, actually. So when I transferred to Palo Alto, I had a great case manager there. Her name was Lexi, and going through my rehabilitation and learning how to kind of transfer out of a wheelchair and go to the bathroom and different things like that, she brought up that there was this thing called Navy Wounded Warrior program, or the Warrior Games, and it's where all the different branches of service take their ill or injured service members and kind of battle royale in different sports. And it's kind of just recovery through sport, and that was kind of the other thing that really saved me. So I thank the Lord for Lexi, because she kind of pushed that program on me. And I got out of the hospital in August, and I think a month later I was in Tampa, Florida, competing in the Warrior Games, and just a different range of sports, from hand cycling to air rifle shooting, swimming. What else did I do? Rowing, and there was a few other, but it was an introductory to sports, and that really saved me, because you don't really have much to look forward to anymore. Sports was something that kind of was a driving factor. It's like, oh, I got to get up and go to the gym. I got to keep my body in shape and learn how to do life, pretty much, and sports really helped out with that. So I competed in three Warrior Games. So that was year 18 for those games. I was in Tampa, and then I went to Colorado Springs the next year and competed there. And then we did another one in Orlando. And after that, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Invictus Games. Prince Harry puts that on.
Oh, yes.
I got selected to go compete in the Invictus Games I took home.
What was the sport? I mean, I don't understand what the Invictus Games are exactly.
So that's different countries. So the Warrior Games is different branches. So you'll compete Navy, Army, Air Force, Space Force now, and Coast Guard and stuff like that. We'll all get together and compete. And the Invictus Games is all the different nations. So we'll have Team USA now, which is made up of all the different branches, and we'll go out and compete.
What sport were you participating in?
I competed in rowing, cycling, swimming, and it'll come to me in a little bit. I'll just write it out. But there was another one. So I took home 3 golds and 1 silver. Oh,
Wow.
Not good. So yeah, that was really cool to go to a different country. We went to the Netherlands. I got to bring my wife for that. And as I said, recovery through sport was a huge thing. I gave you, a cookie, a carrot in front of the individual there. So, something always to look forward to and push. And doing these sports, I ended up finding the sport that I fell in love with, and that's hand cycling and bobsled. So you guys already know about the bobsled, and that started in the end of 2020. That's when I started bobsledding, and did my first World Cup. I got selected for the national team in 2022-23 season, and then now we're in the 23-24 season. My first season I actually came in 6th place in the world, so I regressed a little bit, but I ended up getting COVID while we were over there, and missed a couple races, so that kind of put me in a worse position this year.
Where do you train for bobsled?
So we train at Lake Placid, New York.
I didn't think you could train here.
No, there's no Lemoore. No. The closest one's Utah, Park City, and then Whistler, Canada. So yeah, that's kind of my recovery through sport. I met a lot of great people through all these sports, and I want to continue, and hopefully I can make it on the. Hopefully, para-bobsled does make it on the Paralympic schedule, and you guys can see me out doing that one day. Cool. Yes, ma'am.
Have you had the opportunity to do motivational speaking?
This is my first time publicly speaking and talking about my accident.
I think it'll be many more. We're honored.
I think you have a future in that.
I don't know. Don't know about that. But,
Work in progress.
it is a work in progress.
Your speaking has given me a lot of hope, and I think it would have the same, a bigger audience would do the same thing.
Yeah.
So we can be your guinea pig.
Guinea pig.
Yeah, practice on us.
All right. Pretty much told you my life story. I'm going to talk about my wife and kids for just a quick second too. I was with my girlfriend, wife at the time of my accident for 2 years prior, and she's been the saint that just, she kept me off the painkillers after I got hurt. Like I wanted to numb the pain, and she was like, "You're not doing this," and which helped out a lot. She's been just a big pushing factor in my life. We got married while I was in the hospital, so a month. We just celebrated our anniversary, April 13th.
Oh, congratulations.
So I was hurt on March 3rd, and a month later, we got married in the hospital, and it was like a recreational visit to the courthouse. It was like one of my first times getting out of the hospital on release to go get married. And she didn't leave my bedside. She quit her job, pretty much stayed at Palo Alto with me, and just stuck it out. So she's a saint. If anybody should be getting some awards, it's her. She deserves the gold medal. Yep. And then we had our first son, 2020 in May. So he's got his birthday coming up. And then we just had our daughter last year in February. We're done.
Congratulations.
Yes, definitely. They keep me very busy, but life slowed down a lot after the kids. We were going all over the place and traveling for sports and stuff. The veterans community also does a wheelchair games that I compete in, and it goes to a different city every year. So we've been to Tampa. We've also been to it's going to New Orleans this year, which is pretty cool.
Mm.
where else? Kentucky and New York for the games. So I usually compete in hand cycling, air rifle, and swimming in those events. And now pickleball. It's my new favorite. They just introduced that last year. A lot of fun. Yes, ma'am.
My mom is a veteran and she's 97, she lives in Three Rivers. She also joined the Navy. I just know that the veterans give a lot of wonderful services. Are you able to take advantage of some of those, you know, like the support groups and the counseling and all that to, you know, help get you through this?
Not many like support groups or anything like that. I've tried to do counseling through the VA and just kind of had a hard time just where we live in Lemoore and Fresno. It's just kind of a long drive to go there. And, it didn't work out too well for me for counseling services, but through sport, I enjoy the games. They also do like a winter sports clinic in Aspen, which is a beautiful place to go, and I'm very thankful that the VA will bring us there. And that's where I learned how to ski, which is cool. I'm actually going to start skiing with my son next year. And that's through the VA. Yeah, he's going to get his first lessons. Yeah, he's going to take off. He's speeding just like his dad.
Where are you guys going camping at?
We're going camping here at Lake Kuya, actually. So, yeah. We still got to book our reservations, but.
Don't tell us where we'll all have food and stuff.
Well, we haven't booked the camping site yet, but we're working on that. We were kind of scoping some things out on the way in. We have a friend with a houseboat that's going to take us out and start fishing from there. Yeah, that's pretty much my story. Motorcycles are dangerous.
Does anybody have any more questions for him?
So you're retired from the Navy, but you're still representing the Navy and
I was. So I was representing the Navy for the Warrior Games. So it was Team Navy. That's pretty much run its course. As I said, I did three years of it, and typically that's about done. You can usually the progression from there is, you know, they try to get people into the Paralympics is what the ultimate goal of this is for. You know, so they teach people about sports and how to adapt after injury, and then I guess the next progression would be Invictus Games, and then from there, if you find the sport that you love and you want to participate in, you try to go to the Paralympics is the ultimate game.
so you still get support from the Navy?
No, it's all the VA now. So like the Navy's done with me. You know, I'm a veteran now, so it's all the veteran affairs.
And can this go as long as you want to do it? And you're succeeding?
The Olympics, yeah, the Paralympics, as long as bobsled makes it in there, and that's the sport I want to compete in. I also like air rifle. It's something that I'm trying to pursue and get into a little bit more and get proficient enough to try to make it to the games doing that. I'm a hand cyclist for recreational. I hand cycled 26 miles before coming here.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I kind of like, a bunch of my friends went to the Boston Marathon last week, and I was bummed I didn't go, so I was like, I'm gonna go do 26 miles just because.
So Austin, if people want to follow you, do you let them know about your Facebook page?
Yeah, I have Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I don't spend much time on there. I got 2 kids.
Because you're training.
When he travels, you can follow him with the sports that he does on his Facebook page.
Typically when I'm traveling for sport, and then it's when I actually got a little bit of time, I'll post some stuff on there. But other than that,
Just exciting to see.
I'm just dad.
Just
I try to fit in time for training. I mean, luckily for bobsled, there's not much I can do in the summertime, so that's where I pick up hand cycling. Cycle a lot.
So you're gonna try camping. That's gonna be quite an adventure with those little ones.
It is. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Would you be open to speaking to high school kids?
You know, I'm not a man for a lot of words. If someone
doing
asks me to
great.
do something, I'll usually jump at it just because.
Okay, you can look forward to being in touch with me.
Okay. I don't feel very inspirational, to be honest with you, but you know, I'm just living my life. That's
And I think that's really part of the secret that makes you approachable. Don't change that.
You just said a
I know,
magic
I know.
word though there, Austin. You said life.
yeah,
A
no.
long time, a while back, you didn't want to have it.
I do.
So that's what's great, that's what's inspirational to all of us right now.
Yeah, and you
You
know,
made the
young
right
people
choice.
go through their hard times. Things happen to other people, and they can look to you to see you got past it.
Yes,
It may be different how other people get past it, but you're showing them you can
yes.
get past it, you know?
It's definitely a decision you gotta make
Yeah.
every day too. I mean, I still have bad days, man.
I'm sure.
It's hard to live from a wheelchair. It's kind of, a lot has been taken away from me, but I've also had so many blessings that have come to replace it.
And that's the important thing, those bad days will happen, and you have to be prepared and able to understand what they are and have the support structure
Yeah.
to move forward.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the kids, especially high school kids in our community, need to understand that. A lot of them don't have that. Anyway,
Okay.
Is cycling gonna be a Paralympic sport?
Cycling is a Paralympic sport now.
Oh.
It's, there's a lot of summer sports. There's only 6 winter sports for the Paralympics right
So
now.
can you do both?
Can you do the summer sports?
I'm not that good at hand cycling, unfortunately. I'm not.
at 26
I'm not-
miles, you're not that good?
Yeah.
No, well, the guys that are winning are doing like 100 a day. They're
Oh.
I don't even drive that.
crazy. If I had a smaller frame and was an Italian, probably I might try
What
a go
about
at it.
pickleball?
What's that?
Maybe pickleball will become.
Maybe yes.
Dave,
I mean,
did
they
you
just
have any
got in
questions
breakdancing, so
about working on
we'll
engines?
see.
Well, I appreciate your service and.
Thank you too
how
for your
things
service.
work, yeah. I do a little blacksmithing on the side, and I'd like to get involved with veterans and doing that. I taught welding for 20 years.
Okay.
And I would like to get involved with some of the, the veterans that are, injured, and it's a good thing to therapy.
I just started welding. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
very,
now you know who to call.
He's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I'd like to get contact and talk to you about a few things.
cool. Yeah, would love that. Exchange information.
In fact, Dave, didn't you make the first?
He did.
You made the first Heroes piece of art, the original piece of art. One of the things we give to the honoree at the celebrations is an original piece of art from our people, and he made the first one. You took the logo. and
Cut it
made
out of a
You
plastic.
cut it into metal sheet, yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
There's still one in the museum.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you remember Bill?
Bill Herman.
Bill Herman?
You think, yeah, oh yeah.
He had his, and he kept it. It was something he cherished.
It
Yeah.
was fun.
Okay,
Okay, so let me show you what we have this year.
don't show that yet. Do this first.
Oh, okay.
Do that last.
All right, so the art is going to be shown last. All right, we have, first of all, a thank you certificate from the county. The board of supervisors thanking you for your Navy service. Okay, Eddie Valero signed that. We love our supervisors, by the way, so really appreciate that. And then the Gateway Restaurant gives a gift certificate. Look at this. Glenn and Susan at the Gateway, $50. So you can go down and eat by the riverside and, yeah, have fun. It's gorgeous. So the certificate and that, and then I'll show you the piece of art. It's a different artist every year. This artist has actually done it twice, but it's completely different from the first thing they made. It's the husband and wife team on the South Fork. Ann and H.J., they have river water pottery, they call it. So H.J. made the ceramic plate. And Ann drew it. And that's the logo of the 3 branches that we're thanking. You know, the first responders and the military. Yeah, firefighters, law enforcement, and the armed forces. Can you let him hold it for a minute?
Yeah, let him hold it. Let
Here,
him
you
hold
hold it and we'll take a picture, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And she made it, every plate was different.
It's so nice.
Yeah, isn't that
I
beautiful?
love the puppies.
The poppies, yeah, yeah. And we were trying to guess who would get each one. Each one was different. We're going, maybe poppies for you.
I love poppies.
That worked out.
Orange is my favorite color.
Oh,
Oh,
Oh, they'll be so glad.
That's awesome.
They'll be so glad.
That's beautiful.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Now everybody can eat, drink, visit,
And
enjoy.
once again, thanks everyone for hearing my story and kind of hearing me for the first time.
Yeah.
It's my first time coming up and talking to
You
everybody.
never know, you never know.
Yep. Remember all these faces because you can come up here and run into them again.
Yeah.
I love your sunflower tattoo. If you notice, my wife has one on her shoulder.
Aw.
It's my mom's favorite
Having a
flower.
good time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.